Hey, welcome to part two of day one, the AI divide. What we're going to talk about now is why 80% of AI investments produce nothing and what the other 20% are doing differently. In the essentials lesson, you learn the difference between using AI as a muse and using it as an oracle. Now, here's what that distinction looks like at an organizational level. Your company has been running AI pilots for 2 years. The demos work. The presentation's impressive, leadership signed off, but nothing is reaching production. The gap between what AI could do for your organization and what your organization is actually realizing is not closing, it's getting wider. That gap has a name, the AI divide, and it's compounded every quarter. You don't close it. Most organizations respond to this gap by running more pilots, more experiments, more proofs of concept, more demos. That is exactly the wrong response. The organizations winning with AI are not running more experiments. They're running fewer and finishing them. The problem is not the quantity of pilots. It's that pilots are not connected to a defined business objective. It's about changing from a mindset, let's do it, let's give it a try, to let's get it done. That is a production mindset. Let me tell you about the 10-20-70. The most consistent finding across high-performing AI organizations is how they allocate resources. 10% goes to algorithms and models, 20% to data and technical infrastructure, 70% goes to people, process, redesign, and culture. Most companies do exactly the opposite. 70% on tech, 30% on the rest. The specific failure mode this inversion produces is called pilot purgatory. It follows a predictable path. A team launches a promising proof of concept. They prove that AI works in a narrow, controlled setting. They hit organizational friction, questions of ownership, data, risk, anything else. They park the use case. They start a new pilot to maintain the appearance of progress. Then they repeat. Each cycle of this loop accumulates AI debt, a backlog of hopes and wasted money. The loop doesn't resolve itself. It only breaks when the pilot's connected to a defined objective with a named owner and a production pathway. There is a way out of the pilot purgatory. The solution is built on three things: a clear problem definition, clear objectives, and a system view. Let's talk about problem definition. This is where things go wrong most often. If you're working on the wrong problems or weakly defined problems, you get the wrong solutions. Who gets ahead today is not the person who knows the most. It's the person that asks the best question. What to ask, what to test, what not to trust. There's an old expression I love, the Renaissance man. In the past, that was the person with answers to all the questions. They were valued for their ability to store information. Today, answers are easy. It just made the cost of skipping the question catastrophic. In the age of AI, the real advantage is asking better questions. The old Renaissance man was the person with all the answers. For centuries, that made sense. Today, answers are easy to find. The new Renaissance person is the one who defines the problem, asks the right question, and applies it fast. Einstein famously said if he had 1 hour to solve a problem and his life depended on it, he'd spend 55 minutes on a question, 5 minutes on the solution. He said the answer is the easy part. The question is where the work goes. Now, I'm not Einstein and neither are you. So let me set the bar lower for just a minute. 55 minutes is a long time to spend on a question. How about if we swap the numbers? Can you remember the last time you spent 5 whole minutes working on a question before going to your phone, Google, or AI? Most people can't. Clear objectives are the way to turn problems into results. When objectives are clear, you know if you're doing the right things or the wrong things. Decision scientists have a name for a common error called the type 3 error. It's about solving the wrong problem correctly. This is the most common error we're making. Think about it, companies whose sales are falling. The marketing team opens AI and asks it to build a campaign. The AI delivers. Positioning, messaging, channels, budget, all of it fantastic, persuasive. But what if the real problem is the product? What if customers are not failing to find it? They're finding it and deciding against it. The marketing plan was brilliant. or a product that will never sell. That is a type 3 error. The tool didn't fail, the question did. And it happens before anyone is thought to ask, are we solving the right problem? Russell Ackoff, one of the founders of systems thinking, put it simply, the more efficiently you solve the wrong problem, the worse things get. This reminds me of a conversation with my son. I've chosen this example because it matters as much to me as any board-level decision I've worked on. He was looking for his first job. I was in what I'll call solution mode. I said, let's get started. We'll print your CVs, get your job quickly. He looked at me and said, Dad, you're not hearing me. That stopped me. For the first time in that conversation, I actually listened. And then he said something that surprised me. Dad, I want to take care of kids. He didn't want to stay local. He didn't want just any job. He wanted to work with children and see the world. So we slowed down. Instead of rushing to the nearest solution, we explored what he actually meant. Eventually found something unexpected, an au pair position in Australia that turned out to be exactly right for him. Australia was the beginning. He went on to New Zealand, United States, Mexico, Jamaica, Croatia. He's living in Portugal now. He started his world travels that day in my kitchen, the day I stopped and listened instead of solving. Speed was the enemy of finding the solution. And if that conversation happened today, we could have opened AI, generated hundreds of job applications, sent them out in minutes faster in the wrong direction. The marketing team had a sales problem. I had a son looking for a job. Same error, same pattern. Correct execution, wrong problem. The pause, thinking about the question first, was the only thing that prevented it. The answer was right there. We just had to stop long enough to define the problem. The solution is think first. The next level of making things worse is a systems view. When you add AI to your system, you need to make sure it doesn't cause other things to break. Edward Demling famously showed that 94% of defects come from the system, not the people. When things go wrong, it's management, it's planning, it's not people. The solution is simple. One question, one constraint, one pause. Then, what do we need the system to do? One thing worth saying about AI, and this is important, AI is trained on everything that's already happened. It's extraordinarily good at recombining the past, but it can't dream forward. It has no access to what never existed. The question no one has asked, the frame no one has tried, the problem defined to be a better challenge followed by a clear objective in the system. That's your job. AI can't go there without. So what do we do? It's really simple. Pause. Think before using AI. 3 steps. Here we'll go through them. Before you reach for an answer, create some space, even just a few minutes. Second, frame your problem. Write it down. What are you trying to solve? Rewrite it. Test it. This is where your judgment forms. Third, then ask. Bring in AI. Bring in expertise, but use it to augment what you're thinking. So we got a few learn more activities here. We got some learn more things here. First of all, we have a couple chapters in my books on problem definition. We have a draft video, which is about what is the one thing to teach. If you teach one thing, it's about defining problems. And lastly, it's a series of notebooks, information about objectives and tools first. What I'd like you to do right now is apply a non-obvious process to a real challenge you're facing. What do you need to do? Write down the situation and the obvious solution. 2, define a new one-sentence objective. 3, ask for solutions.